My name is Q. I'm an event producer in the entertainment industry. This podcast is me and my colleagues talking about how we got into the business, offering career advice, and just chatting about whatever's happening in the world today. Please enjoy. All right, guys, welcome back. Oh man, it has been so long. I am a little rusty, but we're just gonna get right back into it. Welcome to another episode of the Cue It Up podcast, man. If this is your first time checking in, God bless you. Thank you for hitting that play button on whatever platform you're checking it out. You may be watching us on YouTube. Thank you for checking us out on that platform as well. My name is Q. I am your host. This is the Cue It Up podcast. This is where I have the opportunity to chat with my colleagues in the entertainment business. We get to talk about their careers, how they got where they are, and sometimes we just go off script and talk about whatever's going on in the world. So I am excited to get back on this. We had a long break, but now it's time to get back on the road. I am excited. My first guest today is an amazing individual. She is a blogger. She's a podcaster. She's a content creator, and she has an amazing story. And I can't wait for you guys to hear it. Please welcome to the stage, Jazmyn Daigle. How you doing, Mel?
Y'all, thank you for having me on. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking. We were just talking about free time, man. I've been busy myself, so just people offering their free time for one another, for somebody that's not your friend or family, man. I appreciate you. So thank you for offering your time to speak.
No, thank you for thinking of me. Yeah, no, you're right. Like, free time is like basically non-existent now.
Absolutely. I feel you, man. So, first of all, where are you from? Are you a Texas born and raised?
All day, baby.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Well, all right. What side of town are you from?
So originally grew up in the north side, and then about sophomore year of high school, moved over to the south side.
No, I'm covering my. You said the north side? The north side of Houston?
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, no, I started out in like Spring ISD, so Spring Branch, Spring ISD, so that side of town. Gotcha. And then moved out to the south side, finished from Lamar. Oh, nice. Pursued criminal justice, and I'm not working in criminal justice at all. So
wow. What happened there?
I started working in commercial real estate to make money and to just something to do during grad school, and fell in love with the industry. And it'll be 10 years ago next February. So we're coming up on my 10-year anniversary in this industry, and I love it. So awesome. That's what I do when I'm not creating, when I'm not being creative. I'm working in commercial real estate.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations on 10 years, man. Hey, man, give a round of applause for that one, man. 10 plus years, man. I love when people have a story to where, like my current boss, he has a degree in science, but he works for a nonprofit and events. I'm like, how did you get there? But everybody has.
How did you stumble into this? I ask people all the time. I was like, so how did you stumble into this? And that's honestly what happens a lot in my career field. Like, unless you are like a contractor or like a construction person or somebody who is like an architect or somebody like that, you truly stumble into this industry. Either you know somebody who's in it, or you just come up on it because it's not one that's talked about. So
I understand. Well, since it's not talked about, can you give me a little bit more details of what you do, your day-to-day, and if somebody may be interested in this field, what are the steps they should take to get there?
Absolutely. So I am on the operations side. I am in project and property management of a Class A building, currently in downtown Houston, but next week I will be transitioning to Nashville. I got a promotion and I'll be on the management team in Nashville, another Class A building as well, but we handle the day-to-day logistics. So building maintenance, janitorial, security, we handle all the construction, the ins and outs and goings on of your commercial buildings, whether they be in downtown Houston or other parts of Houston or whatever, commercial buildings. And it's fun. I touch a lot of different industries. I touch a lot of different industries. I essentially get paid to talk to people and spend people's money.
I love it. I love it. I'm spending
And
your
it's
money,
good.
not my money. I
Right,
love
right. Your money. But no, it's great. Like I'm a people person, and I love that that my role allows me to use that.
it.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I don't if you want to get involved in it, I highly recommend um, joining a young professional organization,
Mhm.
or even I fell into it by temping. Like
Oh,
went to a
cool.
temp agency and I was like, I want to do something where I can leave the day at work. Like when I leave work, work is at work,
Come
and when
on.
I go home, home is at home. And she's like, "Oh, perfect." Da, 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 da. And then I found out what all I could do. So I've been on the project management side. I've been in operations. I'm back in operations, and I love it.
That's great, man. So
Mhm.
work stays at work, home stays at home. So what do those hours look like? Is it very flexible? You choose your time, or is it set hours?
For the most part, it's 8 to 5,
Hmm.
primarily because of the tenants that we have. So they need to know that their management office is open from 8 to 5. There are times where I do have to take work home, especially during budget season. Budget season's hard, where we figure out how much money we're going to be spending and on
So,
what.
mhm.
Um, but for the most part, yeah, I have been blessed to work for a team and firms and under managers and under vice presidents who are very much concerned with our work life balance. So they're like, look, when you're at work, I need you to give me 151%. But when you are home or when you're off, take care of yourself. Like work
Mhm.
life balance is key. They're very much advocates of mental health. My firm covers my mental health, my behavioral, mental and behavioral health. See, you up there talking about that. I'm up here, like I don't have a podcast. But yeah, no, they cover my therapy at 100%, which is great.
What?
Uh, yeah,
That is dope.
and I see my therapist every week.
Hey man, definitely take advantage of that, man. That is amazing. Not too many
Right,
companies do that.
right.
Mhm.
No, not at all. So they're very much advocates of work life balance, health, everything. Like not even mental, or not just mental, but also physical health. We have a lot of health initiatives. It's great. So
That's
I
amazing.
love it.
That is
Mhm.
amazing. Like I said, not too many companies really care about your mental. They was like, man, get in here, do this work, go home, do. That's all I care about.
Okay.
But it's all
Okay.
about longevity nowadays because I think our millennial group really, broke the barriers because our parents was like, go to work, do this, and we were like, no, we want to be more efficient. We care more about the benefits as well. What else do I get a part of offering my time? Are you going to pay for my college? Do I get a master's degree? You going to pay for my physical therapy? All these different avenues. So that is amazing that you get to work for a company that takes care of you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. So transitioning to the creative side, man, you have your own podcast. Tell me a little bit about that.
I do. So I started the podcast. Ha. I started the podcast a couple years ago,
What's
and
the name
it
of
started
it?
off as it's called And All That Jazz Podcast.
Okay.
So I rebranded it last year.
Oh, okay.
I rebranded everything last year. Actually, I just changed everything over to my name. So my blog is jazzdaigle.com, and then the podcast is And All That Jazz Podcast.
Okay.
So it's an extension of my blog. Like it initially started off with me and my cousin talking like we do, like girl talk, talking about everything.
Hmm.
And she's my favorite cousin. We were raised more siblings. And so banter, it started off as banter. And we talk about current events, we talk about hot topics, we talk about honestly any and everything I talk about on my blog. So social justice, reproductive health, dating as a millennial, being a black millennial, so stuff like that. And now it's more me. So every now and then I'll have a co-host or I'll have people on and we'll have a engaged discussion. But for the most part, it's me doing brain dumps or actually verbalizing written blog posts so people can understand tone and everything, because I find that that's hard to do on a blog post. I've gotten emails and DMs about, oh, well, you were talking about women's rights and all this stuff like that. And I read your tone as just, nah, let me verbalize this so you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And I like it. I love it. I try to do bi-weekly episodes,
Okay.
try being the key word. But when
Hmm.
life gets hard, and I have to take a step back, I am definitely blessed with a audience and a listenership who understands that. And they continue to listen to old episodes, which is great, until they get new ones.
I feel you. Yeah, I know it is very hard, especially when you're doing it by yourself. You know, some of my favorite podcasts, like Brilliant Idiots, Here's the Thing,
Yes.
Flagrant, all these different ones. They have a group and a team to help them, man. Oh yes,
Love
I
Here's the Thing. Love
yo.
Here's the Thing.
Here's
Come
the
on
thing.
stage. Ah!
Yes, man.
And that chick Angel.
Yes. Bro, man, I absolutely love that show. And I followed Kel for a long time, like back to All Def Digital. Then he broke
Mhm.
off and did the thing with Doughboy. Then, of course, whatever happened with them. But then he transitioned
Right.
with Angel. I was like, bro, Angel was the best thing that happened to Kev in regards to that podcast.
Yep.
Just
Angel and
kiss.
Joshy. I mean, their dynamic
Yes.
is Joshy
Yes.
guns.
Absolutely, man. I definitely a big fan, man. If you haven't heard of Here's the Thing podcast, definitely go check it out on any platform: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. You will not be disappointed. Me and Jazz are actually part of the Patreon crew, Stage Crew.
That's right. That's right.
I randomly saw her type something in the comments. I'm like, I know her.
I recognize that name.
Absolutely, man. Are you gonna go see him on tour?
So I bought tickets for Houston. I actually bought VIP tickets for Houston. I moved to Nashville the weekend or the week before my show here in Houston. I know. So I bought tickets because one of my best friends is she's also Stage Crew, gang.
Mhm.
And I was like, you want to go? She was like, yeah, let's go together. So we bought our tickets. And then I realized that of course I got the promotion, had to move. And my move-in date is the week before. And I'm really, I fought really hard on that. I was like, should I fly back just for the show? Like I prayed on that. I was like, do I need to fly back for the show? And I decided at the end of the day, it wouldn't be the best, especially with me trying to transition into that. So I'll continue to support the Patreon, continue to watch the Here's the Thing. I highly recommend you guys, if you haven't checked out the podcast, watch it on YouTube. Hearing them is great. Seeing them,
Yes.
oh my gosh, top tier.
Absolutely.
But no, I told her, I was like, my birthday present to her is my ticket to the show. So I was like, take somebody with you, enjoy it with you, and let me know how it is.
That's nice of you, man. That's really awesome. You're a good friend. You know what?
I try.
Yo, my wife brought me tickets as a anniversary gift, and I was just like,
that's a good wife.
Yeah,
that's
bro.
a good wife.
Yo, bro. And the sad part is, like, during the pandemic, I was watching them so much because the entire group, just that all deaf group of Tahir, Angel, Meg, Scoop, and Patrick, all those guys.
Tony Baker, yeah, Patrick, all of them, yeah.
Yeah, but they were pushing out content almost every day, so I'm always had something to watch. Whether it was Zooming with the Homies, Here's the Thing, or Patrick and Tahir's podcast.
All of them, the beautiful, all of them, yeah.
Absolutely. My wife, whose name is Bria, she comes into the room and she said, "Is Kevin paying for electricity?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "If I ever meet Kevin on stage, he owes me a check because he got to pay some electricity bills around here. As much as you watches him, I hear his voice every 2 minutes because he's loud. He's very loud. That's not my fault. He does it. He puts it out. I just watch."
It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. So please, I can't wait to hear how it is. I have a friend who went to Utah show this past weekend, and he was like, it was hilarious. And I was like, well, dang, if it's hilarious and this is them working out the kinks, Houston's gonna be great.
I hope so. Then I think Utah, it was Tahir, Kevin, and
it wasn't Angel. Angel wasn't there. It was
why did I forget her name?
What's her name? Because she did a
Ty Davis.
Yeah, Ty, yes, because she did one of the Keep Your Distance shows.
Yeah, she's hilarious. She's hilarious. Yeah, but I can't wait to see him. I just can't. And hopefully I can get some merch. I wish they had the meet and greet package, but I get it. I absolutely get it, man. No artist is really executing meet and greet anymore, so it's part of safety, and
it's not as safe as it used to be.
Yeah.
And I understand. I snagged one of the Stage Crew Day One shirts.
Nice. Oh, the front and
Huh.
back.
So, because he drops it in the middle of the night, and I'm like, look, I go to sleep at 9. I say middle of the night. It was like 10 p.m.
Hey man, his merch sells out fast.
So fast.
Yeah, there was one
Oh,
day he
we
dropped
just spent
like
a
a
whole
cleanse.
hour talking about Kev
Yo,
on
I
stage.
know, bro. I'm I love black creators, and what makes him different is he definitely tapped into that greatness of that potential he has. Because even when he first started, he was like, man, Kev has something, but he just ain't tapped into it yet. Then when he just started to make the Kev on Stage Studios app and start doing his own stuff, I was like, bro, that is amazing. Next Tyler Perry stuff, and to be able
For
to
real.
virtually watch it, and I'm so proud of him because I've been watching him for so long. The same way I feel about Drake. Drake won Artist of the Decade. I've been following Drake since the beginning, and to see him
Yep.
achieve something like that, man, it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Don't get me started on Drake. So one of the things I want to say before I go in on Drake, one of the things that I really love about Kev and that whole crew, Kev is doing something that Issa Rae talks about a lot.
Exactly.
She talks about networking laterally.
Hmm.
And that is one of the things that I truly love. That's one of the things that I feel like our generation, whether it be Zennials or Millennials, that's something that we have truly latched onto, and we're doing it well.
Hmm.
When I was younger, and I say younger, I'm 32, I'll be 33 in August. But when I
Hmm.
was early 20s, when they were like network, they'd always say, oh, well, network up, network up, network up.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until mid to late 20s when I heard that from Issa Rae. She was like, no, what you want to do is put your friends on, network
Hmm.
laterally, put your friends on and grow together. And when she said that, a light bulb went off. Excuse me. And that's one of the things that I've seen her, I've seen Kev, I've seen Drake. Drake has done that really well. His whole group of friends. So you have your Michael B. Jordan, your LeBron James. Everybody networks laterally and they grow as a crew, and that is something that I truly love. That our generation is doing now. Drake. I've been a Drake fan since he was Wheelchair Jimmy.
Wheelchair Jimmy.
I was a Degrassi fan. Like I was the
Okay.
kid who would watch Degrassi on Friday nights on the N. And then
Hmm.
when he started rapping, I went to his first show here in Houston. I used to go to OVO Fest every year because
Really.
it would line up with Caravana. Oh yeah, like Drake. I'm a Drake fan.
That's
Drake
dope.
fan. Comeback season. I could top the look. We could do this all day.
Yo, that's one
But
of
yeah,
my
it was
biggest regrets.
definitely it was good when he won Artist of the Decade because he deserved it.
Oh, well, absolutely, man. I can't even think of any other artist that has dominated consistently. You have artists that have their moments. Like T Pain had his moment, Lil Wayne, Gucci Mane, all these little artists have they won 6 months to 12 months or whatever. But
Right.
Drake, boom, boom, boom. What name a bad song by Drake? I'll wait.
Don't get me well. There are a few.
Oh,
Not all of them are hits.
really?
Not all.
Which ones? The DJ
Um,
Khaled ones?
I mean, not even necessarily that. Now, the last. Okay, this is gonna sound bad. I am a Drake fan.
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean that he does no wrong in my eyes musically.
Okay.
The last full album that I listened to, top to bottom, was Nothing Was the Same,
Okay.
and before that was oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I can see it and I can't think of it when he's in the restaurant. Um,
Oh, take care.
Take Care, yes. So Take
Hmm.
Care, Nothing Was the Same. Thank Me Later. Those are albums that I will bump top to bottom
Oh
and
yeah.
repeat. The
I
rest of them, I have my few that or I say few. I have the songs on them that I like.
okay.
So, but like I said, you don't have to like every Drake song to be a Drake fan. He makes something for everybody.
Okay, I feel that like at least almost every single that he's put out to me has been phenomenal. But yes, I think like Views, I wasn't a fan of top to bottom, but definitely has some gems on there.
Right.
More Life, Scorpion. But
Mm-hmm.
what I love about his music is sometimes I listen to the album, I may not be feeling that track right then I come back like a month or two later, I'm like, oh, this is
Mm-hmm.
jamming. Wait a minute,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And I was like, that's what I love about music as a whole. You don't have to jump on a bandwagon right then and there. You can let it marinate like wine. Just let it sit for a little bit, and it may hit you a year from now. Uh, where were you when If You're Reading This It's Too Late dropped?
So that was when we were in the height of Drake mania.
Yeah,
Um,
2015.
that was 2015. I went to OVO Fest that year.
Nice.
Because I remember hearing worse. Motherfucking never.
Yo,
And that song hits me like it makes me feel away. Gosh, that was, I mean, yeah, no, that was thick of it for Drake. Wasn't that the Jungle Tour?
yes. That was
Yeah,
around the
that was
jungle
the
tour.
Jungle Tour.
Hmm.
That was, I mean, it was a good, it was a, running through the six with my woes. That the cultural movement behind
Yeah.
the
I
crowd, hearing the
yeah.
crowd sing that with like, so I went to the shows here in Houston, and like feeling the crowd, feeling the building, Toyota Center rock when people are running through the six. Oh my
Yo,
god,
you
phenomenal.
can't beat those feelings, man. That's why I miss concerts so bad, man. I can't wait. I know. I got my Astro Festival tickets. Rather if I'm going as a spectator or if I'm working, I am going. I need to be in that environment again. I need it in my life. I know a lot of people going back on the road. Justin Bieber is back on the road right now.
Mhm.
ACL Fest just sold out. Lollapalooza is still tickets on sale. So if you need some music in your life, man, they're coming back this fall. So hopefully everybody is safe and healthy, and we'll get past this coronavirus situation and get back to some type of normalcy.
Yep. I told so Nashville, unfortunately, not a lot of artists, not a lot of big artists come through there, which is
Yeah.
fine because I like smaller acts too.
Hmm.
That's one of the things that I really appreciate about the country scene there and about like Texas country, which they know not too much of. So I'm gonna have to teach them about Texas country. Um, but not a lot of big acts come through there. But Jonas Brothers are coming through there this fall. And I was like, so I'm gonna see Jonas Brothers in Nashville. And I told one of my coworkers that, and she was like, what? I said, first of all, I'm a 2000s pop girl through and through. I don't care what
Hmm.
anybody says. Fight
Hmm.
your mama, don't fight me. And they always bring that nostalgic feeling for me, like that. It's Radio Disney,
Oh yeah.
whatchamacallit, 104. Like it's that feeling. So it's a good vibe. I don't care if I'm 24 or 32 or whatever like that. I'm gonna go see the Jonas Brothers and
Yeah.
scream in the audience with everybody
Yeah,
else.
they put on an amazing show. I saw them last time they were in Houston, and I'm not the biggest fan. Like when Nick dropped his solo projects, when Joe dropped his solo projects, I was like, man, this is decent work, man.
Mhm.
DNCE, they had some solid joints. Then
They had a few
they put
bangers.
on a phenomenal show, and I will absolutely go see them again if I had the opportunity. But yeah, definitely go check them out, man. Nashville, you got the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum out there. That's something you're gonna check out since you're just so big in music.
For sure. Absolutely. So not only that, but also the African American Music History Museum
Mm.
is not only in Nashville, but it's on my property at work
Really?
there. Right. They're one of
Wow.
our tenants. Yeah.
That's pretty
So
cool.
I'm gonna go check that out. That'll be one of my first stops when I go up there. If not next week or the first time I go, the second time. So I'll be flying back and forth. I plan on checking out that museum. It's supposed to be really nice.
Okay, definitely let me know how it is. Cause me and my lady, during the coronavirus thing, it was like towards the fall. And it's like we have to go somewhere. We have to get out, and we end up going to Atlanta. And she's never been outside of Texas, so it was a good opportunity to take us to somewhere that was they had a lot of black culture. And we
Hmm.
went to the museums out there. The people were very nice. I love Georgia, man. That'll probably, if I had to move out of Texas, Georgia would be the spot to go for me.
So let's clarify that. Atlanta and Georgia are two different things. Atlanta is very
Atlanta,
black. That's
yes,
like
yes,
saying Houston, Dallas, and Austin are Texas.
yes,
These cities are very diverse.
yes,
They're very mixed and everything like that. The rest of Texas is not. So like Atlanta's very black.
yes.
Just
Yeah.
next door, you got Jamaican and all that. Those are not. So not to say that you wouldn't feel comfortable there. It's just I feel like we were like, I'm moving to Georgia. What part of Georgia?
What part of Georgia? Where exactly? I need to know.
Right.
Uh,
Where exactly are you thinking?
Absolutely, man. And Texas is so big, man. I went to school in West Texas, in Abilene, Texas, and completely different culture from Houston. Completely different. Just I went to school between when I graduated, between '08 and 12, and the
Okay.
music scene in Dallas and Fort Worth completely different. This is like Stanky Leg when all the dance music was coming out. And me from Houston, I'm used to, DJ Screw, Slim, Paul, these guys, and these guys just dancing, having fun in the club. I'm just like,
Right.
we don't do that in
What is
Houston.
this?
Yeah. It's like, come on, cute. And they got the weird hug curls. They got like a fade up here, but they got all the hair just sticking in the back of
Oh,
the neck. I'm
yes,
like,
in the back.
yeah. I'm like, well, who does this?
Who
Who
is
raised
this?
you?
Right.
Did you not pay for
No,
the
I
haircut?
started out in East Texas, and so I was in Tyler for 2 years, and I get it.
Yeah.
Dallas was the nearest city for us, and it was like, why are there so many instructions in these songs? Why am I moving every 8 count? What
Yeah.
is going on?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh man, who came? I was so in Abilene is a very small city in town. Everything closed at 8 o'clock. Eight
I can
o'clock,
believe
the
it.
street lights blinking on. Everybody's closed. Like nobody is this. Everybody had to be home by 8:30 or something like that. Only one musical act came through Abilene when I was there. Lil Flip. I was like, who?
Wait a minute.
Lil
I
Flip?
had Lil Flip at Emily.
I was just like, who booked Lil Flip? He was like,
What?
game over. Flip, Flip. I was like, okay. Yo, it was so weird, but I was just like, I was just happy a little bit inside. I was like,
Wow.
yo, I was like, I ain't seen him for a long
Okay.
time.
Well, at least y'all had concerts. We didn't have concerts in Tyler. Not only was it small, it was dry. Smith County was dry.
Oh
So,
wow.
right, right. So, like, when you were like 8 o'clock, yep. Like,
Mm-hmm.
moving from Houston to Tyler was a huge culture shock. I went from McDonald's and Jack in the Box staying open 24 hours to them closing at like midnight. And I'm like, so what do y'all do when you come home from like a bar? They're like, well, we go to Whataburger. So the line at Whataburger
Yes.
would be forever long. And I'm like,
Yes.
oh my God.
And only got about two of them in the whole city. It's one on the north side, one on the south side. That's it.
That's it.
And
Yeah,
oh,
no, they were like, yeah, the loop. They kept saying loop 323, loop 323. So me, like a Houstonian, I'm thinking of freeway. It's a road. A road. It's a regular
but
street. Just a street.
yo, I was thinking about 16. I'm like, yeah, loop, go around like a loop. Let's just say,
Same. I was like, okay, cool. So yeah, no, it's a street. And I'm like, that's not a
yeah, man, I don't miss it. I don't miss a small town whatsoever. I got you just. If you were born in a small town and went to a big city, I can probably understand. But a big city going to a small town, man, I don't know how you do it. I
it was
can't.
a big adjustment.
Absolutely, man. So, going back into your creative content aspect of things, how do you keep that work life balance? What's important to you in regards to keeping your mental health straight and to create for the world?
Right. So that's a good question. So when it comes to content creation, in order for me to keep a good work-life balance, I'll batch create. So on I work a 9 to 5.
Mhm.
So during the week, I try not to do too much blog stuff. I'll schedule my static social posts. Um, and I'll schedule blog posts on weekends. So I'll batch create those for the week on Saturday or Sunday midday,
Mhm.
and I'll get everything scheduled, make sure it's running properly. And that way, when it runs, all I have to do is go back and interact. So, interact with comments and stuff like that. Even podcast episodes. So, when I record, I'll record on Sunday afternoons,
Okay.
get everything edited, and get that scheduled to go live on Tuesdays. And yeah, that way I'm not worried about before a meeting jumping on and drafting out a blog post or whatever like that. Now, what I will do is if I get an idea about a post or if I get an idea about an episode or something like that, I'll pull up OneNote or I'll pull out my phone and if I can if it'll take me too long to type, I'll verbalize it. So I'm like, hey. But
Mhm.
if I can outline it really quickly in OneNote, I'll pull that up and outline a blog post and go back later and flesh it out.
Okay.
And that helps. That helps a lot.
I got you. So, what platform do you utilize to edit your podcast and also publish?
So I use real basics. real basics. I use Audacity to,
Ah,
to record
hey.
and edit. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like real basic because
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm used to. So I use that to record and edit, and then for publishing my podcast, I use Anchor. I found out about it when I first started doing podcasting, and this was before Spotify bought them, and Spotify's done phenomenal things since then. But Anchor was always free, and
Yeah.
they pushed to every podcasting platform for free
Yeah.
and lets you monetize your podcast from the start. And I thought that was great, and I've stuck with them. And since Spotify's bottom, or since they've joined the Spotify family, things
I
have
feel
only
you.
gotten better. So that's good.
Absolutely. I
What
use
about you?
Anchor. Yeah, same thing. Anchor, I love Anchor. Found out it was free. That was the most important thing. I needed something for the free. I tried to use SoundCloud, but they only let you like do like three podcasts and then they charge you after.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm not about that life, bro. So no, I need it for the free.
The free.
Yeah, so Anchor definitely a great platform for me recording. Of course, I use Zoom because I wanted to have these conversations and also have the visual from it as well to upload to YouTube. Then for editing, I do Adobe Premiere.
Okay.
So yeah, because I know how to use Photoshop and that stuff. So all that came within the package for me to be able to have to utilize. So but for I haven't been utilizing Photoshop a lot. I've been using Canva a lot more because it's
Okay.
just so much easier.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
so
I
much
love
easier.
Canva. I I shout their praises from the mountaintops.
Mhm.
And I pay for pro. I'm like, look,
Yeah.
it's worth it at this point to have all my branding stuff there,
Hmm.
to be able to use my own fonts. I
Hmm.
love Canva Pro. Love
Yeah,
it.
absolutely,
That's good.
absolutely. Yeah, it's going from Photoshop to where like one thing may take you 15 minutes. I'm like, I can do that in Canva in like 30 seconds. So
Like that. Right.
life
Right.
saver. So you have a full time job and you obviously love it, and you do create you create content. You love that as well. Would you ever in the future become a full time content creator, like podcasting, blogging from a full time standpoint?
um, Probably not.
Okay.
At least not now. Not in this, I don't want to say lifetime because that sounds weird. But it's weird. So like for my industry, we're like, oh, in the next lifetime or in the next lifetime. And we're just talking about the next phase of our life.
Hmm.
Probably not in this phase of my life.
Hmm.
It's a hobby. I mean, I've monetized. I started monetizing a few years ago. So I pull in a decent income from a decent supplemental income from my platforms. But I love what I do, and I don't see myself giving that up now. Like I really love working in commercial real estate, and I don't see myself giving that up or stopping that now. At least not until I put more people on. Like I want to make sure that we have more of us in the industry,
Yeah.
especially more younger us in the industry, because at the end of the day, it's an older industry, and you can
Hmm.
tell that by the people who are in it. But I want some more young blood, and I want to put some more people on, and then accomplish what I want to accomplish in my career. And then if I decide to retire early and go into content creation full time, then I'll do that. But I love what I do now.
Absolutely, man. I love it. I love it, man. With me, I thought about it for a long time, but I
Mm.
can't do it without a group. Like if I went to like the Black Effect Network, like what Charlamagne started at, if he was like, "Hey man, I want to grab your podcast," I was like, "Okay, I'll quit everything. I'll completely focus on this because I
Right.
know the opportunities that has within it." Right now, I'm still learning, picking
Gotcha.
little things, figuring out how to post stuff and getting posts out and just being more consistent. I feel like if I go a year or two where it just a lot of consistency plus the financials make sense, then yeah, I'll probably step into that field. Hopefully one day in a life. So,
There you
but
go.
I
I
love
mean, and
creating.
it's great when people can like pursue it full time and get those bags full time.
Hmm.
That's great. Especially if it's something that you're passionate about. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Today is the anniversary of. It's weird to say anniversary. I don't. It's not something we should be celebrating, but the death
But we're
George.
acknowledging it. Anniversary still means you're acknowledging it. So you use the right term.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
the anniversary of the death of George Floyd, him
Mm-hmm.
and his
Of his
family
murder
went
years
to
ago. Yep.
absolutely. Him and his family went to go visit the White House, and I haven't been on social media a lot today. But I didn't really know how to feel about it. I was just like, yeah, they're going to the White House, but we're still fighting the good fight, in my opinion. When that happened, it was very shocking, very devastating, very changing for a lot of people, and a lot of eye opening for a lot of people. Like me, with a lot of corporations, they did, the black squares and said like, oh yeah, we're definitely down with the people. We doing this. I felt like it was more of a marketing scheme for a lot of these
For sure.
organizations
A
because
lot
it
of it was
was,
performative.
yeah.
Right.
But I guess what does the Black Lives Movement mean to you personally?
Yeah, sure. So if I'm a huge social justice advocate, social justice warrior. I volunteer heavily with the Urban League. I'm a firm believer in giving back and contributing to the community that raised you. And for me, that is the Black community in Houston and overall the Black community. Period. Um, I um, I wasn't. I hate to say this. Um, when George got murdered, and I want to make sure that I'm using my words with intent because he was murdered.
Yes.
When George was murdered, that was something that we'd seen happen too often. Um, and I'm happy that one of his murderers, because I feel like everybody who was involved, whether they had their knee on his neck or stood by and did nothing,
Hmm.
um, they were involved in that murder.
Yeah.
Um, when Derek was convicted, I was happy that that happened, but like you said, we have so far, we still have a long way to go with that.
Hmm.
I feel like people were made aware of it because we were all, for the most part, all at home in the middle of a pandemic. And
Hmm.
so others were able to see what the Black community here in America has been saying for the longest time. Black Lives Matter. We need you guys to realize that. Like, we need you guys to acknowledge that. And we need you not to have this just performative BS that a lot of companies did after that. So um, I'm really hoping we have some actionable changes. Recently, if I'm not mistaken, it's being signed by Abbott, or it might be signed by Abbott soon, where they aren't educators, public educators are not going to be able to talk about um, race relations
Yeah, I
or
saw that.
like 1619 project and stuff here in Texas. And we're not the only state that's up on the board for. That's really unfortunate. Like that, and that's how you know that a lot of the stuff that these companies and a lot of the stuff that these state reps have done since this time last year has been performative.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I always tell people, especially when it comes to fighting for social justice and fighting for equity and equality, because we need both, um, it doesn't just stop with protesting. It doesn't, like, that's great. That is one aspect, but your civic engagement is just as important. So you, yes, definitely go out and march. Definitely go make sure your voice is heard. But get in the poll booth. I mean, get in the voting
Yeah.
booth too. Go to the polls, make sure everything, because your representatives are the ones who are supposed to be representing you. So
Hmm.
people are upset about these bills that are being passed, whether it be the heartbeat bill that just got passed in Texas that I'm really upset about, or the one where they're banning talking about 1619 project and just race relations in schools. But your local representatives are the ones who are passing this in the state side.
Hmm.
So vote them out. Like, we're about to hit midterms, and not just for governor. You have your people who are in the House and the Senate locally. So um, I feel like it lit a fire under people. It made them see, and not just, it lit a fire under people who had often ignored the systemic and systematic abuse that people of color have had to deal with
Hmm.
in this country. Um, and I pray that it gets more people, it gets more souls to the polls. I hate to get religious like that, but I really hope that it gets more souls to the polls, and it gets more young people involved. Like, I was um, an election clerk this past. I was actually, whatchamacallit, an election judge this past election, and I went home and cried afterwards because of the sheer number of first time voters that we had, at our polling location. And this was a small location. Like this was an elementary school tucked away in a neighborhood. And there were so many first time voters and so many people, young people and older people who were voting for the first time. And I cried. I was like, thank you guys so much for making sure your voice is heard. Like there are different aspects to this social justice fight and we all have to do our job. We all have to do our job.
Absolutely agree, man. Just in Georgia, not Atlanta specifically, but Georgia overall, passing laws to try and make it harder for people to vote and stuff like that. I'm just like, what? Why? And they don't want our voice to be heard and to see it and still see it is definitely heartbreaking. Even with Abbott, like the way Abbott's been moving the last year, I am not a fan. Get him out of here. Just with this whole gun law that's about to get potentially passed, which you don't have to have a license. I feel like that is a trap. It is dangerous. It is a trap. If you're black with a gun, get your license anyway. Get it before it's signed. I think just protect yourself. It's going to be the wild, wild west out here, and I don't want to see any of my brothers or sisters out here on the news because it's a mess. So,
yeah, but I mean, you see it a lot. So it's good that you brought up Georgia because you see it a lot whenever there's any kind of true progress. You see that retaliation. So like after Emancipation Project, after the Emancipation Proclamation, and how that when that finally trickled down. So when we got Juneteenth, even after Juneteenth, then you have the Jim Crow South rise up. So there's always that retaliation that comes with real progress that's made. And I mean, we have to, one, be prepared to fight and be prepared to fight for the long haul. And I feel like our generation, we have that stamina. Not to say the generations before us didn't, but I feel like not only do we have that stamina, but we have the tools now to fight in a more efficient way, if that makes sense. Because it's not just, we're not just fighting now. The fight isn't just local now. The fight is worldwide now. And that's something that I truly love about the technological space that we're all in now. So we're able to use our platforms, we're able to use our blogs, we're able to use our podcasts and stuff like that to make sure that people are aware, not just stateside, not just locally, but internationally. And that is phenomenal. So that's one of the things that I truly love about being a content creator, about being a blogger, about being a podcaster. My voice goes so much further. My voice and what I'm saying goes so much further now.
Absolutely, man. And I absolutely love it, man. Keep fighting a good fight, man. I want to utilize this time for you to remind the people where they can find you find your podcast, find your blog, how they can reach you, etc. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. Thank you. So my podcast, let's start the blog. The blog is jazdaigle.com. So first, what's on the screen, jazdaigle.com. And from there, you can get to all of my social media accounts. Across the board, I'm and all that jazzy, ANDALLTHATJAZIE, 1Z, and then IE. And then my podcast is And All That Jazz Podcast. So all that's on the blog. If you guys want to reach me, you can email me. I have that linked on there on my blog. You can DM me. My DMs are open. Ask Q. He was like, hey, so I noticed that you were on Kev on stage. I was like, yeah, what's up? But yeah, no, my DMs are open. Slide through. I love to have conversations like this on my podcast. I'm always looking for co-hosts, especially when I can lock down a time where I can sit and talk. But yeah, reach out. I love your show. Like after you reached out, I was like, let me check this out. And you have a great show. So thank you again. Seriously, thank you again for having me on.
Absolutely. And thank you for offering your time, man. Once again, man, guys, this is the Queued Up Podcast. We on all platform blah 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 blah. I'm probably gonna cut this out, but probably not. We did so good. We was at the end and my tongue was like, I'm done working for today. This is the Queued Up Podcast. We're on all podcast platforms, from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you catch your podcasts, even iHeartRadio. If you want to view this podcast, definitely check it out on YouTube, the Queued Up Podcast. See, my tongue don't want to work today. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up today. Thank you, Jazz, for hopping on. Please like, share, comment. I am always up for some comments in regards to how I can do better as a content creator. What do you want to hear? Who do you want to hear from? How can I do better to reach and engage you as a fan? So once again, reach out to me. My Instagram, Doug Q Smith, TheQueSmith. This is another episode. Thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you.
All right.